Okay, guys, let's get ready for some math. If you remember, our job this week is to be able to make a 10 to add easier, because a lot of times if we have a 10, we can add much faster than we can if we just have two different numbers. And remember, it's going to build up to us adding three numbers together. So we're going to try to make a 10 out of two numbers this week, and the next week we're going to try to find a 10 making three numbers together. So the first thing I want us to do is get our brains moving in math. Let's get started on our problem of the day. So here is your problem. And your problem says a truck was hauling 14 crates of fruit. 5 crates were filled with strawberries. The rest were filled with grapes. How many crates were filled with grapes? So the first thing that I know that we need to do is we've got to figure out these crates. So I know that I have 14 crates. So there are my 14 crates. And I know that 5 of them are filled with strawberries. So I see 5 that are filled with strawberries. Well, now I can easily tell how many are filled with grapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a number sentence to match this. I put 14 first, and then I took 5 away that had strawberries, which left me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of those crates were filled with grapes. So now I need to write a sentence that's going to answer my question, how many crates were filled with grapes? So I'm going to write, there are 9 crates filled with grapes. So now I have a sentence that answers this question. How many crates were filled with grapes? There are 9 crates filled with grapes. Okay, now let's get started today on our making 10. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to look at is my picture. I have 7 small blocks and I have 5 big blocks. So I see that 7 small blocks and 5 big blocks are here. I could count all of those, but I know there is an easier way. I want to make a 10. So how would you solve this problem? I'm hoping that some of you said, well, I could draw it out like this, and I could circle 10 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 blocks. So now I have 10 blocks plus 2 blocks, and that's going to give me a total of 12 blocks. There's also another way that I could do it. I know using my 10 frame, I see I have 7 small blocks and 5 big blocks. So what I could do is take my blocks to fill in my 10 frame to make a 10. And now I have 10 plus 2. So 10 plus 2 is 12. Now, I'm going to show you a totally different way to do it using a number line. So check this out. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to circle 7 because that's where I need to start. So I'm going to circle 7. Now, I'm going to jump until I get to 10, okay? 1, 2, 3. So I've jumped how many times? 3, which is decomposing my 5. Well, I know that I'll just continue to count 4, 5. So I can see that 2 is the other number that 5 is decomposed into. So I can see that 7 plus 5 is going to be the same thing as 12. Okay, now we're going to try another problem. Okay, so my problem is, you know that crazy Boom, here he's back. It says, Boom says that 9 plus 5 equals 15. So I want to know, how would you solve this problem? And then do you agree with him once you've solved it? So I'm going to give you a second to try to solve 9 plus 5. And then I want you to decide, do you agree with Boom? Is he correct or is he incorrect? So I'm going to do the same thing while you are working, and then we're going to check our answers together. Okay, so I now am ready to show you how I might solve this problem. So the first way that I would do it, I could show it in blocks just like this. And I'm going to find 10 because I know that's my job this week. So I have 9, 10. So I no longer have 9 plus 5. I now have 10 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Now, 10 plus 4, that's easy. That's 14. Well, I'm already not agreeing with Boom because Boom said this. Boom says that 9 plus 5 is 15. Well, I already found that it's actually 14. Now, let me show you a way I could use my counters. So we start out with our 9 and our 5. But I know that I have to have a full 10 frame. So I'm going to take one of those out of the 5 and make a full 10 frame. So now I have 10 and 4. So 10 plus 4 is 14. So I'm definitely not agreeing with Boom because I found the answer 2 different times, 2 different ways to be 14. So let's take a look at my last way, just like what we worked on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to circle 9 because that's where I need to start, okay? I'm going to count until I get to 10. Well, I see that I hopped once. Now I've got to keep counting until I get to 5 because it's 9 plus 5. So that was 1 jump, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I see that I land on 14. So I have learned that 9 plus 5 is actually going to equal 14. So I can tell that this 5 is decomposed into 1 and 4 jumps. So I know that Boom is not right. So I definitely don't agree with him because I was able to solve this problem 3 different ways. I used blocks, I used counters, and I used a number line to come up with the answer that 9 plus 5 is actually 14. So here is what I'm going to have you do now. You are going to turn in your teddy bear workbook to page 125 and 126. So you're going to do pages 125 and 126, practicing using the number line. Remember yesterday when you worked, you used the base or the 10 frames. Today, you're going to practice using the number lines. So I want you to work really hard on bouncing or hopping as many times as you need to. And if you want to take a different color, you can. You can use a blue and a red. You can use a green and a yellow, whatever you need to do to show it. So complete pages 125 and 126. And then what I want you to do is make sure that you take a picture of it. Not only do I want you to complete that, but I also want you to do another fact fluency practice, okay? So practice your fact fluency. Pull out one of those sheets, pretend like I'm giving out Skittles, and I want you to do your very, very best to get as many as you can correct in a short amount of time. Remember, we're working on 1 minute. Even though I don't time you, I just want you to get out as many as you can. So choose one of those fact fluency sheets, get it out, and solve as many correctly as you can.